So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. We were a little nervous for a second because we had not many participants. So thank you for joining us. Before we start, make sure you have two devices, one for streaming the session and an iPad so that you can be creating on it today. Everyone can create teacher guide. Is on the bookstore, and that would be great if you have it downloaded already, and the drawing book, and also apps that we're going to be using today. Sketches School is an app we're going to be using to do our workshop on today. And then if you have Google Classroom downloaded, that's great. Seesaw is another app that we're going to be using. So I know Mia sent that in the requirements for the workshop. So if you can get those downloaded while we're waiting, that would be great. And as we are starting, if you can just put in the chat, introduce yourself, where you're from, what's your role, what's your position, so that I have a somewhat understanding what everybody's role is. So if you can do that in chat, that would be great. So welcome to Everyone Can Create drawing session, part of our little Create with Kasia series. My name is Kasia Derza, and I am a STEM educator at Mariana Azuela Elementary School in Chicago, right by Midway Airport. I teach kindergarten through 8th grade STEM, and the curriculum that I teach varies from grade to grade. So I teach kindergartens and kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, just basics of coding, the concepts of commands and functions and sequences, to students in 3rd and 4th grade, actually part of Everyone Can Create, and they do the projects that we're going to be doing today. And then older students, we do a little bit of engineering. We have Everyone Can Code from Apple, and as well as I teach some Project Lead the Way. So a lot of different things. Apple's not just the only one. Hi, Sydney. You are from Northwestern. Anybody else can introduce where they're from? That would be great. And then we're going to start in just a few seconds. We have how many? 8 participants. Yay. Okay. Hi, Mia. Hi, Sydney. Hi, Jorge. You can tell us where you're from. That would be great. Hope you guys are enjoying this hot weather today. So as we're sharing, I want to make sure that I'm clear with the objectives and what we're going to be doing today. So I am going to give you a quick intro today to Sketches School, and we'll have a minute or two to play. And then I'm going to introduce Seesaw, how I use it with the students and with the iPad. And I'm going to give you a dive into Everyone Can Create books and how to navigate them, how to use them most efficiently. We're going to have a mini project from the drawing book, so you're actually going to create something today, and you'll share it with us, hopefully. And we'll have some time to think about how this can be integrated into your classroom and implemented in what you're going to be doing this fall. Depending if it's e-learning or not, I think this curriculum can be used either way. And I'll actually give you some modification tools as well. If you're not for sure going to have an iPad, I'll show you some other tools that you can use, other ways that you can use this. Okay, so I'm excited for everybody to join me to be joining us today. Hi, Amy. Hi, Jorge. All right. Let me get right to it. So I have asked you to download Sketches School. So I'm going to go into my iPad right now, and I'm going to do a little demo of how to use the app. And if you have Sketches School downloaded already, that's great. You will open it as well and have a little playtime, because that's what our kids want to do. When I introduce an app, they want to, go and play right away. So I always give them a few minutes to kind of figure out how to use it. And so here it is. So how does Sketches School look like? It's this white and blue icon. Let me make my screen big. And a few of you may be wondering, how do I have this pointer? This pointer I actually use in my classroom all the time. And I'll just quickly show you how to get it set up so that you can use it and point to different things for students as well. So if I go to settings and I go into accessibility, and then I go into touch. Right now I have assistive touch on. So I'm going to tap on it and make sure that it's on. If it's off, my little pointer, it turns off. And if it's on, it's back on. So I use it mainly as a pointer on my iPad to project to my Apple TV to display in a classroom. And even when I'm doing a virtual e-learning session with my students, I also use it too so that they can see what I'm doing. So that's just a little quick tip of how to use that. So we're gonna go to Sketches School. It's this, again, white app with the blue pen. And it's free, so you don't have to worry. I think there is a pro version, but you don't have to use it at all. Like there's a lot of settings. So this is pretty much like a digital journal where you get to draw, but it has a lot of really cool tools. So if we're gonna go onto it and click anywhere on yellow, it'll let us open, sheets of paper. I'm just gonna click on plus. And then onto here, you'll see all the different tools you can use to color, to draw, starting from pencil, pen, marker, paintbrush, crayon, another paintbrush, another one, spray paint. Then you have some shapes and different fonts you can use. There's also a paintbrush that will like paint bigger surfaces. I'll show you in a second, but you can start playing if you have it opened. And then an eraser, smudge tool, a cutter, and a ruler. Now, how do you figure out the color? You might see that right away. The colors are actually on the right side. So let's see, I'm gonna use the marker over here. So right now it's selected as red. So if I tap on any of the colors, let me put on green. And then on the right, there's different thicknesses. So let's say I'm gonna click on this thickness. You see how that's gonna go. And then the different thicknesses of the pen. You can try using whichever shape or whichever tool you want right now. Just play around with it. I'm not asking you to draw anything, just like play around with different tools and get a feel. I am using an Apple Pencil right now, but this works the same. In my classroom, I buy stylus pens. They're like $10 for 30 of them. And I'll use my union money, for example, to buy it. And they'll last a little bit of time and they work just fine. Or you can use your finger, that works the same way. So as you can see, there's different tools how you can draw. The smudge tool is pretty cool. It lets you smudge over. The eraser, obviously how that works, we know. A ruler, you can draw lines. So you first have to have a ruler selected and then you have to have a color selected that you are a tool that you want to use. And then you just draw over it, excuse me. Oops. Draw a straight line. Do I have it? Nope, why is it not doing it? Usually it works, guys. What is going on? It's like, of course it's not working when I'm showing you, right? But the ruler usually works. I'm gonna try to close my app in a second. And then, so all these different tools that you can use to draw. Yeah, it's my app. I'm gonna close it. So play around for about a minute, just so you get a feel for the app. And then we're gonna go back into our keynote. There we go. So I just have to close the app. Any questions so far? Okay. So while you guys finishing up playing, I am going to talk about Seesaw. So I also asked you guys to download this app. Now, Seesaw is a digital portfolio, kind of like a digital folder that keeps all the work that students do in a classroom. So it works great on the iPad. It works great with younger students. It's a lot more, I think, user-friendly on the iPad than Google Classroom. And it keeps everything organized. So I've asked you to create or download the app, and we're going to become students in my classroom. Now, if you have signed in before into Seesaw, you'll be using the same credentials you've signed in before, so you don't have to enter this class code. But if you haven't attended my workshop yet and you haven't signed in yet before, then you will have to follow these instructions. And actually, I am going to show you those instructions on the iPad, so I'll go demo it for you. Okay. So Seesaw looks like this. So this is the app. Now mine is right now signed in as a teacher in this classroom. Please ignore my playtime stuff. I was playing before and uploading stuff. Okay, so right now this is like as a teacher mode, but I'll show you how to do that. So when you sign in, when you download the app, it will let you be a teacher or a student. Now, for the purpose of what we're doing right now, you're going to be a student. So you're going to click on I'm a student. And then it's going to ask you to put in that text code, but we're not putting the text code in here because this is if we're sharing iPads. We're not sharing iPads, so you have your own email. So you're going to go to Google email sign in. And then sign in with Google. Now I already have an account, so it might automatically get me in. Okay, so you'll sign in. Mine looks a little different, but you'll sign in and eventually it's going to ask you for a code to put in. And that code is this code right here. So it's going to ask you for a code once you sign in with Google. And if you have any trouble or problem, please let me know in chat or come off. There's only a few of us, so come off mute and I will help you. So if you've signed in before, you're going to use Google account, tap to create email account. So that's what you're going to click on if you're a new student. So I know Mia, for example, you have an account, so you just sign in. You don't have to have the code anymore. So if you can let me know in chat if, oh, thank you, Mia, for posting that in the chat room. If you can let me know if you're signed in, that would be great, because we are going to be sharing some work later to see how that looks. Now, has anybody ever used Seesaw before in their classroom? Jorge, you're teaching middle school Spanish social studies. I could see that being used in middle school, even though like the formatting of it like is younger students friendly, but like my middle schoolers love using Seesaw. Okay. No, I do not have an assistant. So I go ahead and go around and try to, as long as I have one student at a table, you know, pre-COVID, but like if I have one student in a table that gets it, then I'll have that student be like the helper and help everybody in the table. No, but it takes them about 2 class sessions to get good at it. Once they got it, like 2 sessions, then there will be like maybe 3 or 4 kids, you know, they'll need some help, but then somebody at their table will help them. So it does take practice like with anything with younger students, but these are like, once they get in, the kids figure it out. They're better at technology than we are.
I have a question, Kasia.
Yes.
So I ask you because, I still remember I am not good at, using these apps. Okay? That's why I'm learning right now. And for example, I used to teach Spanish with kindergarten and first grade. And that school at that time, okay, they were using technology and something like that. Okay, then for me was, very hard because like you are saying right now, that it takes, time, okay, to, to set up. And that's why, if you know at a strategy or something like, because it's, believe it or not, it is, so different, when you are teaching with
So,
apps. Okay.
I actually have a tip that I'll say quickly before we move on to going looking at the book. So
I'm sorry.
No, that's a very valid point. So actually with kindergartens and with first graders and all the way actually to third grade, I don't have them sign in with Google because they don't know their emails or password. So there is an option in Seesaw where you are a teacher and you get to, let me sign in as a teacher. Where you get to set an option so they don't need to know their passwords. All they need to do is every class you have, you just post like a code, and when they come into the classroom, the iPad is already there and they just click I'm a student, and then they type in like, for their code is like six numbers, not or letters, not like this, it's a little shorter, and they just copy it. So they type in 6 letters, and then they just have to find their name. They don't have to put emails or anything. So they get really good at that. So that's like when sharing devices or when students are, don't know that information and they're too little to use it. So very good point. Okay, so I am going to get back into our presentation here because I want to validate everybody's time, make sure we have enough time to create. So I'm going to introduce you today. Everyone can create books. Now, there are multiples of them. The blue books are made for students, and the blue books are actually kind of like student guides, but also a teacher can use them to learn and figure out how to do things. And the white one is a teacher guide. Now, there's also an early learners book, learners, everyone can code, everyone can create. And that one is geared for like kindergarten through, I use it some even with like 4th graders, but it's more like K through 2. But if your students don't have a lot of background, they can use that totally fine. And it's actually a consolidation of all of these books into that one. So it's like a little less projects. So I'm going to go ahead and actually show you how to navigate through Everyone Can Create Teacher Guide book today. I'm going to go on my iPad. Oops, not pages. They both look the same to me. Orange and white. Okay, we're going to go to books. And you can see I have a lot of different books, but I have the Everyone Can Create Teacher Guide, and then I have the student one also. So the teacher guide, if I click on it, it's a multi-touch book. So you're like, how do I navigate this? What do I do? So anywhere I tap, if I tap anywhere on the screen, you'll see on the top, I'm gonna get these icons. So the dots with the lines, that's going to show you kind of an overview on the bottom of all the chapters that are in here. So there is a drawing book. There is a, there is a drawing book. There is a photo book, video book, music book, and then additional resources. So all these dots kind of show you the chapters that this has. Now the teacher guide has all the books into one, and the students can download individual ones if they want to. But what I normally do is I'll present and I'll show them kind of like the projects that we're doing in here. Sorry, let me close the door so that you guys aren't having any bad noises. So today we're going to be working on drawing. So in the drawing section, there are many different projects and kind of themes. And from 1 to 10, it kind of goes from like, kind of like the easiest to more challenging ones. And I usually do them in that order because they're learning upon each skill that they're doing. So in the first one, for example, word art, and this is the teacher's guide again. So we'll show you what the objectives of these lessons are going to be. They're going to understand lines and the basics of drawing, make patterns, use a variety of strategies to draw block letters, create a word art that expresses meaning. And then obviously why it matters. So word art allows students to express ideas or emotions that go beyond words alone, develop basic sketching skills, offer students new ways to express themselves. So if I slide through here in the teacher's guide, it actually just going to take me to the project, like the final project that they would do in the drawing part of, let me go right here, of the word art. So there's the objective of the word art, and then there's the project. So the project is create expressive word art. Now in the student book, it actually guides you through, oops. I'm going to show you how they're like the same. So they have all the same things. Going to see that. So see how there's word art in the student project book. So there's word art, there's doodle art, observational sketching, and there's a lot more pages to it. So like word art right here, this is what students would see, or what I would show them. I wouldn't show them like the back end teacher one. And it kind of goes through like activities for them to do to be able to that final project that's in the teacher guide. So the first project is sketch and express, first activity is called sketch and express with an emoji. Then sketch lines and patterns. Create block lettering. And they finally they're using all those 3 activities to use it in a project where now they're going to be creating expressive word art. And they're going to create word art that's meaningful to you and a creation unlike anyone else. So they're using the learning skills and then they're incorporating into the project. So for that one, it was word art, right? And then if I click on the next dot on the bottom, then you have doodle art. So it's the same thing for each one of these, kind of same path. They have activities, and then at the end, there's like a project to showcase all of those activities. Any questions? So for drawing, for example, I think it's a lot more detailed in the student guide because you have all these steps for drawing, like how to draw a straight line, how to draw patterns, how to do block lettering, and then they're combining all of those skills to do the final project. Okay, so I'm going to actually go into the first one, word art. And we are going to do a, let's see, our time is perfect. So we're going to do a, that project that you can see on, at the last, or in the blue page, right? Yeah. So we're going to use Sketches School, which is the app that's recommended in this book, to create expressive word art. So you're going to think of a word that is meaningful to you, and you're going to create it with something that would represent the word. So as you can see in here, pop, right? Like that looks like bubbles or balloons, and it makes sense. Now you're like, wait, what are these dots on the bottom? If I tap on them or if I swipe on that iPad with my finger, I can see other project example. And as you saw me in Sketches School, I was actually trying to recreate this one. Then you have another one and another one. So it shows you all these cool different things that you can do. Now, for the sake of our workshop, like we don't have enough time to like do each 3 of these activities, because normally out in my classroom, I would start actually like the first week of class, we do this. So we sketch and express with emoji. So I'll ask them like, how are you feeling today? Like, can you put in an emoji? And they love that activity. A lot of them will want to do, you know, the poop emoji because that's kids, obviously. But they can do, or the throwing up. They love that one. But that's a really cool way to like start with how they're feeling and social emotional learning and expressing their emotion with emoji. Then in the next class, I would have them practice lines, and actually I would have them do like block lettering in the same time, because I mean patterns and lines doesn't take that long, but it's obviously to everybody's discretion. And then finally, I would have them do this final project. So it's up to you. You don't have to follow every single one of them. These are just ideas to do. I do like in the student guide, I do like the create block lettering because it teaches you actually how to do block lettering. So if you look at right now on this iPad, you can see that there's lines. This is all in Sketches School. And it shows, if I swipe, it shows you the process of drawing that. So they actually started with having pencil lines so that the letters are at the same height, and then they fill them out. Oops. Oh, I'm on the last one. So that's really cool. If I go to the bubble letters, same thing. They started with the lines. As you can see, there's lines. And then they added the bubble. And then they actually used an eraser to delete some of or erase some of those bubbles. And then they made it look like 3D. So I'll show you in a second how you can do that. And then angled, same thing, just there's a line in there. They did it at an angle. And then they end up erasing those lines and then filling it in, okay? So this is all done in Sketches School, actually. So I'm gonna go into Sketches School, and before I do that, I'm gonna leave this up for a second so that you see what the project is, because we are going to be sharing it at the end of our workshop today. So we're gonna have about 10 minutes to create. So I know it's not a lot of time, but you guys can do it. So think of a word that has an expressive meaning. Don't make it too long because that's a lot of letters to fill out from my experience. So I try to keep them nice and short. And then we're going to go to Sketches School. And if you were playing on here before and you want to go to the new page, all I need to do is take 3 fingers. And then if I want to delete that, I can hold it and put it in the trash can. What I do have for students, if they're sharing the same iPad, I do actually have them create sketchbooks. So see how this one says sketches. If I hold on the word sketches, I can write my name on it. And then I'll have another kid who's using the same iPad create his own sketchbook so that they have their sketchbook in here. And then hopefully they're not going to anybody else's sketchbook. So it's like multiple journals into one iPad. And then we're gonna go in here, and I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna be very simple. I'm gonna copy that love word, but you guys be creative, please, okay? Thank you. So I'm gonna do what they did with, to show you that ruler, because I think that's really important to teach them. You're not only teaching them about drawing, but like thinking about how you're drawing and like the back steps of something. So if I'm gonna take I'm gonna use a marker, and I'm actually gonna make sure that it's thin, like it is right now. And I'm gonna go just do, you know what, I'm gonna use pencil. And I'm gonna make it thin. Now, if you don't like any of these colors that are in here, which there's a lot of colors, but let's say you want a different shade of that color, if I hold on to that gray, if I tap with my finger and hold on, I'm gonna get a color wheel. So you can pick any color you want on the planet. But I'm gonna stick to that one. I'm gonna have my ruler. So now I'm gonna do a line right here. And I'm gonna try to fit my word right there. Now, one more thing too, you can hide the tools on the left. So because actually the whole canvas is the whole screen. So if I swipe it to the left with my finger, it hides it because this is your whole page. This is the whole notebook page. And then how do I get it back? I just swipe it back in. So like to the left and to the right, just go like that. And then I'm going to pick, I'm going to try to do bubble letters. I'm going to go to the red one and I'm going to draw with this pen. Now, please don't judge me. I'm doing this live, so you guys are not sharing your screen, so no pressure on your part. But I'm gonna. Oh, I have the ruler selected, so I'm gonna unselect it. And then I'm gonna leave all blank because I'm gonna do that emoji thing. And you can use two, if you don't like how something's turning out or it's hard to draw, you can use 2 fingers to pinch in to zoom a little bit. And I'm undoing a lot of things. Which is another tip. Your students are going to be not happy with how they draw, so they may spend half an hour undoing things and then they have nothing on their paper. So I do checks around the classroom when we have live instruction. I do checks around the classroom and to make sure I'll give them like a time. I'll say, okay, in 5 minutes, have your word written down. In the next, then I'll do 5 minutes, have like at least 1 color on all the letters so that they have some sort of time on them, because you can spend hours on this. Especially if you're like trying to be like perfect. And I'm going to zoom in. Oops. Okay. I'm going to do. Now, how do I get rid of those lines that I had? I can just erase, and I'll go to the bigger eraser and I'll just erase that line. Now for this one, maybe I didn't need the crayon, but like when you're doing block letters and you're trying for the letters to be really perfect, it is helpful. And I'm using my finger right now because my pencil, I think, died. So I'm doing this with my finger. Now, I'm going to add a circle. It's going to be from my emoji here. I'm going to check it. Now, the only thing is with the shapes, once you add a shape, you can't really go back and edit it. So you would have to use an eraser to delete it. So that's the only thing with shapes. Another thing too, if you want to draw symmetrical in here and have like, if you're drawing something like a face, one of the projects later on in the book is like drawing a portrait. So there is something that you can press on here that draws whatever symmetrical, whatever you draw on the left side, it will draw on the right. It's actually when you click the 3 dots on the top, and then there's a triangle for symmetry. So whatever I would draw, whatever I would draw on this side, it would draw on the other side, which is, I think, pretty cool tool, especially when trying to draw face symmetrical. So we use that a lot in that project. And then I can just unselect it. Now I can use the fill tool to fill in my letters. And you may see like there's some empties. That's okay. I'm doing this kind of fast. We'll use a paintbrush. And what I actually like to do is I use a paintbrush that, and I'll go to like white, and that will make it kind of look, right now it's on the thick one, so I'll make sure to change the thickness. But it'll make it look kind of like that 3-dimensional look that you had over there in the guide. Maybe it's not the right color of red. So you just kind of have to play around with it. A lot of times too, I'll make students work on adding more than one tool as they're doing, because they'll like to just do it in like, you know, pencil or something. So we work on using multiple tools for one letter. And that's one of my objectives, for example, when I check, is make sure that they have at least one tool that they use, or more than one tool. And then let's say I want to use the smudge tool. That's really cool too. Right now it's kind of big. So I go inside. You can draw your emoji face.
Hey, Kasia.
Yes.
Jorge asked a question earlier,
Yes.
and I didn't. I apologize. I didn't realize that I was doing my activity, but I didn't realize we were all doing it now. And I said that he could ask this question while we're in this portion. Do you want to unmute yourself and share the question? He might be in the midst of his drawing.
Yes, I'm here. No, I just want to, to know that if you let the student practice drawings on papers before they start using their apps, or they just go directly to the apps and start drawing.
So you're saying, like, is it good to like practice on paper? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? So I actually seen they tend to grab to this because they can like quickly go back and fix their work if
Okay.
they want to. I've noticed that, or they'll start a brand new drawing, but they don't have to like go with like, you know, like when kids make mistakes, they'll go like, oh, I made this mistake, and like,
Okay.
like life is over. So it's easy to go back if they mess something up, or if it's messed up, you show them how to fix it on here. So I think for like the time that we have in classrooms, which is not enough time ever to do anything, we just go straight to the app. But obviously that's everybody's personal, you know, whatever works. But from my experience, it has worked to see, I haven't one finished, to just go straight to paper. Now, yeah, I did it, guys. Look how quick I was.
Okay.
Now you may be wondering, how did I do that background? So there's actually, I love using paintbrush, and kids like it too, so, or the spray paint. Sorry, it's right here. And then I'll go like big thickness, and then like you can add like so many dimensions to the color. You can like make it like look so much different with it. Obviously this is not perfect, but it's not supposed to be. And then don't forget to hide your tools. There we go. So here's my, let's see where we are on time. So I'm gonna give about 2 more minutes so that we have enough time to post, and I can show you some modifications too in case you don't have Sketch at school, or how you can do this in other ways as well. But I would like some of us to have something to share so that you can upload it, because that would be great to see.
Where do we find the shapes?
Which shapes?
Oh, did you draw that circle?
Yes. No. So good question.
Like really...
No, good question. So ABC, where you go to ABC, and then there's shapes those are just the only shapes that they have, but you can just drag it. Like if I tap on this, and I can put it anywhere I want. When we do the, emoji activity, I actually have kids, a lot of times they just want to see the emoji as they're drawing it. So I'll have them go to like School Bell for whatever font, and then I'll have them go to emoji on the bottom, and then I'll have them, like, let's say they want to do this one. So I let them upload it, like make them a little bigger, and then they'll like just try to copy it. Like the younger kids do that all the time. And then they can actually, you know, they can delete this and not have it on the screen. So that's one thing I do. But good call, good question. So now, once you finish, I would love for you to be able to share it. And how do we share this? How do I have students share this and post? So once we're logged into Seesaw, to that portion, and I think I don't think I needed to approve anybody. Then it's just super easy. All you do to share this is on the top, you see the 3 lines on the top, or sorry, the 3 dots on the top. And then there's the box with the arrow going out. That means I'm uploading it somewhere. I'm gonna click on that. And then it's asking me, where do I wanna send it to? Now, if your students are in Google Classroom and that's what you prefer, you don't wanna use Seesaw, they have to first be logged into Google Classroom. So you have to log in through Google Classroom. And then you just tap on it and it automatically goes. Or if you're doing Seesaw, all you would do is click on Seesaw. Now, if you don't see these over here, which some of you may not, if you're first time using Seesaw, you would have to go to More, and then you would add, it will be Seesaw will be suggestion, and you will just tap on it to add it as one of your options. And then it's gonna be there. So I'm gonna click on Seesaw, and then it's gonna ask me, who am I sharing it to as, so I'm gonna put my name. I'm just going to prepare it. And there it is. So I should be able to see it in Seesaw now. If I scroll down, yep, I see my work. So if you can upload, it doesn't have to be finished, but whatever you have, if you can upload it right now, that would be great. Because we want to talk about how can this be integrated too. Because that's just one project, you know, that's just like doing word expression. But how can this be used in the classroom? So let's make sure we upload something, and then we have about 14 minutes left, so I want to be mindful of the time. So one more time, if you missed 3 dots on the top, and I'll lock students' screens in the classroom. I'll be like, no more, and I'll lock their iPads and make sure that they upload their work. So 3 dots, box going out, and click on Seesaw. And it should say uploaded. Let's see if we get anybody else. So with that time, as you guys are uploading, I'm gonna go back to our keynote. So here are some examples of student work actually from my classroom. These are some examples of like 3rd graders, I think, doing this. So you can see they use the expressive meaning of the words, like the ice one. Okay. Oops. So I would love for you to upload it to Seesaw, and then if you see one that you you know, want to comment, you can comment underneath it by just tapping comment button or just liking it for the time today, so that we don't go past 3 o'clock. Anybody has any questions about this process? Uploading it. No questions? What are the, oh, I saw a question. What are the top your top drawing apps? That one is, I love using that one. I actually have a slide that I was going to show you guys. So I also use, like, if like for some reason this app is not on, you can use Notes to draw on. So another app that I can, since that's a question, I'll show it right now. So I can use Notes to draw. All I need to do is go into New Note on the top right, And instead of just writing on the bottom, there's a marker or pencil, and I have limited tools, but there's still tools to use to draw something. So that's one of them. Another one, you can draw directly in Seesaw. So if you click on add, you can do all these different things in Seesaw: post photos, do drawings, upload videos, upload files. So if you go to drawing, similarly, there's tools that you can use to draw and post things. And then you just post by clicking the green button. And then another app in Keynote, you can draw as well. You can add drawings in Keynote. I don't know if I have it open. Why not? Oh, yep, see, I was practicing here earlier. So you can draw in Keynote. Here's my quick practice. But all you do in Keynote is you go to plus on the top, and then you go to drawing, and you have these tools to draw with. And then lastly, I know Jamboard is another one that you can use with Google that's incorporated. If you need to draw something in your classroom during virtual learning, that's another one that you can use. So let me go back to my note. So integration ideas. Let's talk about how can you use this in a classroom, because it's great we're just doing this project, but how can you use this in a classroom? So in the teacher's guide actually gives you all these ideas how you can use it. So you can do it with math words, like new vocabulary words, especially with younger students. Like they can draw, I don't know, cat, and they can try to draw a cat within the word or the letter C-A-T. So there's so many different ways that vocabulary can be used with specifically that project. Reading comprehension, kids have like draw for homework, for example, like 10 words, like write their definitions. Instead of definitions, have them draw a picture for each one of them and show it in that way. Anybody has any ideas of, and they want to come off mute and share with us, how could you integrate it in your classroom with like your current curriculum that you're doing? Or you can write it in chat, and then we can call on a few of you. So how could you integrate? And I really would love for you like to take even like one thing from this and try it when school starts, because I know like there's a lot of things I showed you like quickly in Keynote and in notes and all that stuff, but kids love drawing. Like when I teach everyone can create, it seems like drawing is always like the one that they want to spend the most time on because they love expressing themselves. So definitely recommend all the projects that are there. Mia, you said name cards, student profiles. Yeah, great idea. I have them, one of the projects that I have them do is just use their name and write their name in a creative way, just to have them practice with different tools, and they love doing that. Meaning of words, vocabulary for any subject area, you can do that. And I just showed you like one skill, like one project from the drawing book. There's, I believe, 10 or 12 different. So it does get like more challenging, but there's like how to draw landscape of something or live art. And it does show project integration just like this page showed. So it shows it for every project. So you can see, you can get ideas. You don't have to do exactly like this says. You can just get an idea how it can, if you are a social studies history teacher, you can look at that and say, oh, okay, that's how you do it with this. How can I implement it with something that I'm using? Anybody else would like to share? As Mia, do you want to come off mute? maybe share?
Sure. So I just popped in an idea of, just thinking about reading, understanding, trying to like think through what are different ways to engage students in a remote space. Given that there's not necessary opportunity for kind of side conversations after a follow-up for an assignment, and just having them, do a reading of a passage or a chapter, an article, and then also leverage this as a means for them to draw an interpretation of their understanding of either that piece of literature, or have them represent what they imagine the scene looking like in reality.
Yeah, those are great ideas. Mary, do you want to come off mute? History, I would love to hear that. Mary, if you would like to share.
So I feel that when the students are frustrated, this is a good way to help them to calm down, and so they will be feeling better to continue the work that they are doing.
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is such a good social emotional, drawing when you're like, a lot of people journal when they get, we ask students to write, a lot of times they'll like ask students to write letters, how you feel, or like write about how you feel. So when you draw, you can do the same thing. Diverse learners, you can use this with them. The power of drawing is you don't have to like be perfect, like everybody, like it's your own way of drawing things, right? So there's nobody's going to judge you on your drawing, which is, I think, an important aspect of this.
Sorry, could you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was also going to say that I use, for history, I also use art and art to study the different cultures. And also I bring in, I have a lot of different, I have a lot of friends who travel, so they'll bring me back actual like fashion and clothes from the countries they visit. I have friends that have brought me back. I've used my, when we were studying China, I had my friend's kimono. I've had my, just different, so they get more, so they can actually like see kind of like more of the culture, more of the time and place, especially because obviously right now, no one can travel. So to kind of, to get them more in touch with everything, make it more ease of use for them.
Yeah, definitely. And there is actually in the book, like there's a project on architectural design. So like if you think of any buildings or any places, you can do like study places around the world and their architecture, and it teaches them how to draw it, actually, how to draw from different perspectives. So there's so many different implementations that you can have in any field, in anything. There's just, it's great. Those are great ideas. So with the time, if there are any more questions, I did talk about modifications a little bit. So I showed you guys, you can draw in Keynote, you can draw in Notes. If you don't have iPad, you can do Google Draw as well. It's obviously doesn't have as many features, but if you go to your apps, your Google Drive, and click on plus, like on the left side, it'll be a plus sign to add. You can add a Google Drawing. So kids who use Google, or if we're using Google, if we don't have an iPad, they have an option to draw with that. Also in Seesaw, you can draw directly in there, which is great. And Seesaw does actually also work on the website on the laptop. So you don't have to have an app. It works as a website as well. And I know CPS has approved it, even though you still need to have some sort of Google Classroom, because Google is how we track in Chicago, like, student work. But they have approved Seesaw as a way of working with students. So you might still have to have Classroom for maybe some sort of posting or something, but I think just Seesaw is so much more kid-friendly with the design of it, with how it's user experience in there. And then if you would love to share, I would love to see some of your work today. So if you use Twitter, you can use everyone can create hashtag. That will show you, if you actually look up that hashtag, there's so many different project ideas and examples that you can use for yourself as a tool. Like people around the world are posting projects under everyone can create, with drawing, with video, with photo, with music. And then if you want to see, you know, some of our work, smaller scale, CPS creates, you can see some of the projects that people created. Obviously that one doesn't have as many, but that one's more of a smaller circle. I use Twitter to research ideas, to post some of my work, but definitely to research ideas from other educators that are sharing. And if, as always, if you have any questions, please email me. I would love to help you in any way. And then if you have any questions or anything else, you can ask them right now. But other than that, thank you so much for coming. And I do have a music session tomorrow on everyone can create music with GarageBand. And Friday we have one on coding with Swift Playgrounds. So also with Apple. So if you have nothing to do from 2 to 3, come join us. A little self promo there.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. With that, thank you so much, Kasia. Thank you for approving my Seesaw. And with that, everyone enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and hopefully see you either tomorrow and or Friday.
And some of the cool projects here you guys created. Very nice. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good one.